So it's interesting that you bring up chemotherapy. I have a number of cases involving proton therapy, proton beam radiation therapy.
Yeah.
And that is not a new technology. It's been around 20, 30 years or something
Radiation
like that.
therapy, yeah.
Right. And but many health insurance companies won't allow proton beam radiation therapy. What they'll require is that the patient, and back up, generally this is for colon cancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the advantages of proton beam radiation therapy is that it retains function. So because it is such a focused treatment, it doesn't kill the healthy cells. And the advantage is that I think it's intensity modulated radiation treatment. It has a broader beam and kills healthy cells along with the sick cells, often leaving the male patient without function, which is an issue, right?
Major.
And health insurance companies, not all of them, but some of them will deny coverage for proton beam and try to steer the patient to the other sort of treatment. And the only difference, other than the proton beam works better, is that it's more expensive.
It's more expensive. So the insurance carriers are denying the better treatment because it's a little bit more expensive, and they're exposing this patient to a larger dose of radiation outside of the scope, which can cause loss of function. That's terrible. I mean,
it is terrible.
And those are cases that you've looked at and you
I have a case underway in federal court in Nashville. And
you are the health insurance lawyer. I mean, people have issues when the claims are getting denied, whether if it's cancer or if it's some other major disease, like something lung cancer, emphysema, whatever the different disease is, and they're getting denied. They should reach out to you.
I hope so. I'm not the only guy who does this.
Yeah, but you're the only guy sitting on this podcast.
That's
okay?
true.
I know you, and I know that you get results. So that's why
I'm the only guy in this room who does this.
I don't care about the other guy.
Okay. These are hard cases, and they involve a lot of science, which as a lawyer is kind of fun. You know that,
Yeah,
right? You get to learn about the science, and I'm working with an unbelievably qualified doctor out of California, who has been fighting this fight for 20 years and is the expert. When we go to find the literature on this topic, it's all written by him. So he's the guy. And we've asked him, so what's the difference? And he said, well, proton beam is better, and it's more expensive. And those are the only two differences. And he talks about performing trials. And in his view, he can't ask a patient with colon cancer to have the inferior treatment, which would be necessary for him to conduct a trial. And he says, I can't ask somebody to accept inferior treatment in order to conduct this trial. I need to advise this person to take the superior treatment. And as a result, there are fewer trials that have been conducted, and health insurance companies have focused on that in supporting their denial. And it just sort of seems ridiculous that they're requiring, he thinks it's unethical. And he said that in his report, that it's unethical to require a trial here to ask a patient to accept an inferior service, just so that a trial can be conducted. Particularly when you're talking about a cancer treatment, it's such an important and scary treatment.
See, I mean, this shooting in New York, as terrible as it is, there was a level of change. There was a catalyst for change, and people to actually start looking at it and exposing and opening up these kind of things. I don't know if you saw, but right coinciding with what happened with the CEO for United Health, that day or the day before, I guess Blue Cross, one of the Blue Cross companies, was going to start not reimbursing anesthesiologists
Right.
for the full length of certain surgeries because the health insurance company doctors and the health insurance said, we don't want to pay for an hour. We're only willing to pay a half hour for this particular procedure. And like any doctor, anyone knows that like these procedures could be fluid. You may have to be in there a little bit longer. You have to maybe be in there a little bit shorter. And this happened. Florida Blue completely reversed that position. It was because all of a sudden this was the headline. This is headline news. And you know,
I did see that. I think it was coincidental, but
coincidental for sure. For sure is coincidental that what happened to the CEO happened coinciding. But there was a change. Do you know what I mean? Like there was a massive impact. That them reversing their move, I think, was related to the shooting of the CEO.
So this goes back to what I said at the beginning of this, and that is that managed care ultimately is just about constricting the flow of money. When a health insurance company decides that it's only going to cover 30 minutes of anesthesia for a 60-minute procedure, it has constricted the flow of money in a way that changes the care, right?
Yeah.
Because doctors want to be reimbursed, and that's not unreasonable. And they pay attention to that. If you're only covering half of the anesthesia time, that will ultimately affect patient care. I don't think you can deny that. And so it is. I said it's about constricting the flow of money, but the consequences that cascade from constricting the flow of money end up changing healthcare decisions for lots of people, and that I think is the touchstone that killing hit.
It struck a chord.
Yeah, it did strike.
And but that's what's scary about it. Like exactly what you're saying is the ability for them to restrict the money, which affects the ability of the physician and the medical provider to provide the actual care and treatment that needs to be done, that is necessary. You know, and we all know, listen, we do it every single day in personal injury cases. Every single case I have, or I can have a person that suffers a back injury, they get an MRI, you can see there's a disc pushing up on their spinal cord, and insurance company hires their own radiologist who says, that wasn't traumatically related. They hire an orthopedic doctor that takes a look at it and says, well, I don't think that's related. This has nothing to do with the accident. Even though this person's never had any pain, never had any problems, never any issues before, it's clear as day. They're treating doctors. They're saying this guy needs surgery now to have relief from this terrible pain. We see it every single day. Right. Fortunately, whether in the car insurance industry and in that arena where it's personal injury, you have lawyers like me that work on contingency, and we're able to go up against State Farm, Allstate, Progressive, you name the car insurance company, we can hold them accountable, and the client doesn't have to pay us out of their pocket to pursue that case. We can get them a recovery, not only for their medical expenses, for their pain, their suffering. It is beyond the ERISA that you were talking about. Mm-hmm.